Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/FBIA podcast. Over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. For listeners of the FBIA podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. Find some of our favorites: The Hobbit by Tolkien, 1984 by George Orwell, George Carlin reads to you in The Art of War. Books from all genres and walks of life right into your ears. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/FBIA podcast. Again, that's audibletrial.com/FBIA podcast. Valentine's Day is almost here, and it is the perfect time to get flowers for the one you love. Whether it's to say I love you or sorry because you forgot the day, 1-800-Flowers.com is here to help. Get 40% off your purchase when you go to the FBIA podcast webpage and click the link at the top of our page. That's ronkeilepodcast.libsyn.com, RONKEIL podcast.libsyn.com, and click the link at the top of the page.
Shut up and sit down.
Ooh, yay!
What are you so happy about?
I'm happy about life, fool. Every day is a blessing. Accept it.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah. You're just mad you got to look after people's kids tomorrow. They're going to drink all your paint.
Drink all my paint? Why would they drink all my paint?
Kids are dumb.
Well, they are 1-year-old twins, actually.
All right, well then, even better. You just go ahead, take a laundry hamper, turn it upside down, put it on top of them, and then you put your paint cans on top. Baby prison.
Welcome to the Football is America podcast, everybody. I'm Ron.
Hey, I'm Kyle. How are you, everyone? Well, I'm glad to hear it.
So, how has your week been, Kyle?
My week is just fine. I feel I need to give the kind of disclaimer out there that I am sick again. It happens about every other month because I'm not going to say that I'm Jesus, but I'm similar to him in my infallible, amazing way of life. However, if it was, die for all mankind or let them burn, get out the marshmallows. I hate all of you. And you could have given Tom Brady cancer, but you didn't. See, that's a lot easier than accepting somebody into your heart. Just give one dude cancer with your mind. That's my way. Anyhow, being similar to Jesus, I have an amazing power for snoring. I have woken people up through foot-thick concrete. Snore a little too hard, get a little too sick. So every now and then my voice is going to crack like a 13-year-old who just discovered puberty.
Oh, it's going to be great.
It is going to be good.
Well, we are going to be previewing the Super Bowl, obviously, this week. But more importantly, we're going to be reviewing the Pro Bowl.
You know what? That actually sadly is more important.
Maybe I got that backwards. Did I get that backwards? I don't know.
If you're a New England or Seattle fan, you'd say that is absolutely incorrect. If you're a fan of any other team, you're like, yeah, I'm not really into this one.
So, also, we're going to be getting you some yearly awards, I think. Are we going to get to those today? Do we want to wait on those? Are we going to do those today?
I don't. Let's start this show, and we'll see if we've got time to do the elephant or if we're going to stop at the clown car.
Okay. Let's get to the Pro Bowl then, shall we?
The Pro Bowl happened. We didn't necessarily want it to, but it did. Michael Irvin won, or his team did. We didn't bother to write down the score because, it matters, and saying they won is not exactly, it's not a big deal. That's like the United States going to war with, an elementary school in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's not a big victory, no matter who wins. That is to say, yeah, I think that elementary school in Lincoln, Nebraska has a chance.
So your MVPs are J.J. Watt, who had 1 tackle assist, 4 passes deflected, 1 interception, a fumble recovery, and that's it.
which isn't spectacular by any means, but for Pro Bowl defense, that's ridiculously good. Your offensive MVP of the Pro Bowl is Matthew Stafford, who went 15 of 25 for 316 yards. He also managed to get 2 touchdowns, an interception, and a fumble. Interesting, wacky side note, that fumble was picked up by J.J. Watt. That interception was by J.J. Watt. So clearly, if you had to pick only one guy, you would have to say J.J. Watt because he ate Matthew Stafford's lunch for dinner. Let's go ahead and the Pro Bowl will award its own MVPs. We have to give out our LVPs because clearly this is, it's funny.
Yes, our least valuable player obviously is Andy Dalton, and that is because of the disdain that we hold for his presence in the Pro Bowl at all.
Well, I don't necessarily disdain him. It's just that he's an easy target because you can make fun of him and not feel bad because, it's not like he's getting into heaven anyway.
That's because he's soulless, right?
Exactly.
Is that the route we're going?
It's a very bizarre thing that a offshoot episode of South Park can kind of force the entire nation to say, you know what? That does make sense. I guess they don't have souls.
So he went 9 for 20 and 69 yards in the Pro Bowl because he's awful.
That's about how the regular season started to look for him, isn't it? Also, least valuable player, kind of a shocker here, Adam Vinatieri, 2 out of 3 for field goals, 2 out of 4 for extra points. Kind of hard to believe that this is a guy who didn't miss a field goal until week 17.
Well, a lot of this had to do with the NFL's testing of the narrowing of the goalpost and the increased distance. And Adam Vinatieri actually was quoted after the game saying he was not happy with the new setup at all.
Well, I don't blame him. I think that doing them both might be a little much. I think one or the other could work, but I don't know about saying, hey, extra points, you got to go 35 yards back and the goalpost is narrower. That might be a little much, but whatever, I don't care. Interesting fun fact of the Pro Bowl, the NFL average passer rating in 2014 was 87.1, Andy Dalton, 83.5, and Matthew Stafford, 85.7, both made the Pro Bowl. So, yeah, it's a real critical thing that happens, a real way to stand among your peers and say, I deserve this.
Funny thing, though, Kyle, is Jordy Nelson, I guess, celebrated with Clay Matthews, and he was on opposite teams.
What else are you going to do in the Pro Bowl? It's not like it matters. Hell, last year before, Jeff Saturday snapped the ball to Peyton Manning, even though they were on opposite teams. So they do with whatever they want at this point. The thing I found funny was the Colts mascot throwing an inflatable chair hard onto the downed Patriots mascot, then kind of gesturing with his hands, not a middle finger or anything, but more of like a swing, like I will beat you. Not all that surprising because the Colts mascot is also known for playing like way too rough when they have the kids versus mascot game in Indy. He apparently tackles the kids full speed. Whoever they have doing it is little off. Good for him.
Yeah, I really I don't know if you've ever seen anything, actually Hulu, who's one of our sponsors, by the way, they have something called Behind the Mask, and it shows college mascots and like their real life stories and stuff like that, and the guys that actually wear the costumes and stuff like that. And it's a pretty cool insight. I would really like to know about the guy that is the Colts mascot, because we've all seen a lot about the other mascots, like the Vikings guy, and the Buccaneer guy, and we've seen a lot of that kind of stuff. But for some reason, the Colts mascot guy is just out there.
Probably related to the Irsay family in some way, shape, or form. Do a little bit of crazy going on there, but a mascot's job is to get the fans excited and entertained, and beating other mascots or children apparently is the way to do that. So, hey, at any point, if your defense isn't getting the spark you need, have somebody practice by tackling the ball boy. We also saw Jimmy Graham dunk twice. It was allowed. Also allowed tweeting during the game. Pat McAfee of the Colts also made a Deflategate tweet joke. Don't have it in front of me, so do the work yourself, you lazy.
Wow. I'm glad I got to censor that, first of all. And then secondly, You are a bum for putting this in your own write-up and then not having it ready.
Yeah. And the worst part was I read it and I actually like chuckled to myself like, yeah, it's funny and clever. This is why you learned to read, Kyle. And then nothing.
I guess Odell Beckham also had the catch of the day again.
Yeah, that's not going to be a surprise ever again, is it?
Nope. After that first one, he has pretty high standards. So unless he somehow fires himself out of a cannon and does, some form of like quintupled backflip, catching the football in the process, sliding down the goalpost into the end zone, I don't foresee anything topping the one that he's already had. So.
Well, he's done well enough to where geniuses like Chris Collinsworth were impressed enough by all the shiny flashes going off to declare.
Chris Collinsworth is impressed by everything. Let's be honest.
He's a magpie. He is attracted to shiny objects. He also probably is the kind of guy who likes the sound of his own voice so much that when it's time to get the mood right, candles and glass of wine and all that, the audio track that he plays for his lady or man, I don't judge, we're all friends here, is the sound of his own voice.
I'm sure most of you understand that I have a slight irritation when it comes to Chris Collinsworth. Not necessarily Al Michaels. I think he's actually pretty good. Chris Collinsworth, on the other hand, though, he just bugs me. He's such a brown noser to all of the NFL. He sits there all the time and talks about Roger Goodell and how a great upstanding guy he is. And he sat there during the Pro Bowl and talked about the Deflategate stuff. And I think it was actually in like the pregame stuff they were talking about how Roger Goodell has handled this perfectly by not stepping in and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, really?
All the things that are exactly the opposite of what fans
I'm
ask.
like, you honestly think that in this season, you can sit in that chair on national television and say to every person watching that you think Roger Goodell is an upstanding guy and that he's done everything right this year? Really? You honestly think that? I think that they have got to find a way to scan for CTE before someone dies or kill Chris Collinsworth so they can determine that he has it.
All right, that's pretty cool. I think we should make a time machine and send him back to the Middle Ages, only like send him with a whole bunch of weird technology around him. Like put flashy lights embedded under his skin. I mean, that sounds a little morbid, but what I'm really going for more than anything is you want them to think he's a witch. Because imagine that. Oh my God, I'm back in time. How did this? Why? Who? These questions. Oh, look at the local villagers, and I'm being burned alive. That is a fun Saturday.
The Pro Bowl, although still just a complete waste of time, had better ratings than the MLB's NLCS and the first round of the NBA Finals.
So even though it's a game that we all kind of, hate and are not
what we all
interested
laugh
in.
about.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly,
it's a running joke with the players, with the fans. They're trying to make it more respected, but it's not working. Still, people are watching. So how much motivation for change do they need?
All right, Kyle, let's get to the quick news here. We have a few things. Let's get to the number one topic, which is the Josh Gordon suspension. And he has been suspended for 1 year for failing another drug test. And this time it was for alcohol.
Indeed. Now, if you are wondering why is alcohol with the banned substance kind of test, how is this working out? Normally that wouldn't matter, but since he had a DUI while under probation, alcohol is a substance that he can be tested for. A year suspension has already been handed down.
And it's possibly indefinite, pending the decision that is about to be made. But what they're saying is if they are to impose an indefinite suspension, it would be until he completes some form of treatment program.
A lot of players tweeted out maybe less supportive things this time. The last go round for suspension, there was a lot of positive support from players who felt that maybe he was getting the short end of the stick on this one. Now there's a lot of, dude, get your life together. Because I don't know about you guys, but if I'm getting drug tested, it's probably right around 9 or 10 in the morning. So if you're tanked at 10 in the morning, then there's a lot of things that need to maybe be readjusted.
Apparently what the rumored reports, so take that for what it's worth, Kyle, is that he was pulled in on a Sunday morning around 9 a.m. He was tested and he was found to have still had alcohol in his system. Now, I don't know what they determine as alcohol in his system, like how much has to be in the system before he fails that test, but he claims that he had been at a wedding the night before.
Well, wedding or not, I mean, 9 in the morning the next day, you're still kind of sloshing it around. You need to make some adjustments. Besides, Sunday is a day for Jesus. You wait until you go to communion to get your drink on.
All right. Well, the other bit of news that I wanted to bring up, Kyle, because I found this more funny than anything, and I'm going to play you a little clip, and then I want you to tell me what you hear in it, okay?
Okay.
I have spoken with Coach Belichick. I have spoken with Tom Brady. I have taken the time to understand to the best of my abilities what goes on in the preparation of game day footballs. And I want to make it clear that I believe unconditionally that the New England Patriots have done nothing inappropriate in this process or in violation of NFL rules. If the Wells investigation is not able to definitively determine that our organization tampered with the air pressure in the footballs, I would expect and hope that the league would apologize to our entire team, and in particular, Coach Belichick and Tom Brady, for what they have had to endure this past week.
Okay. Notes.
Well, first off, let's be sarcastic and make fun of an old man. He wants to know about the ear pressure of the ball, and if it doesn't make sense, he wants them to apologize. So,
does he sound drunk to you?
I think that after a lifetime of eating that god-awful mac and cheese, there's some brain cells that have kind of turned against you. In Canada, Kraft mac and cheese is called Kraft dinner.
Ew.
So in Canada, dinner, mac and cheese.
So here's my question to you, Kyle. Did the New England Patriots apologize to the NFL or the fans when they got busted for spying?
No, they made a whole South Park episode about that too. I misinterpreted the rules. They tried to deflect it and make it seem like it was no big deal. They don't apologize. That's not the Patriot way. You tell your tight end to buy a safe house, you spy on other teams, and then you deflate the ball, and you sacrifice children to Satan. That one, we don't have evidence. It just really fills in the blanks.
What kind of penalty, if you were the commissioner of the NFL, would you impose on the New England Patriots?
Well, it's hard to say because now Bill Belichick in his infinite wisdom has said it will take several weeks to get to the bottom of this. To which everybody with the right mind goes, are you an idiot? How much possible information could there be? Who's the equipment manager? Get the tapes that have access to where the balls were and start interviewing everybody. Like, I don't understand. Several weeks. Give me the dude who did that whole Nancy Kerrigan kneecap thing, a whole bunch of Red Bull, and maybe some tasers, and we'll have this thing pounded out by dinner time. Mostly that Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan guy. She seemed real distraught about that. Still brought home the silver. Yay, America.
So my opinion is that they need to bring the hammer down on this one. If it's all true and it wasn't just one individual acting out of a suggestion, which is what they've been kind of hinting at lately, if it comes down to Tom Brady told somebody, I want them this way on the football field, and they did that because of that, and everything kind of shifts the blame towards him, they have got to bring the hammer down on him. They've got to bring it down on Bill Belichick, because that means that this whole thing has probably been happening for a really long time under his nose, and we saw Sean Payton suspended for a whole year just because it was happening under his nose.
With the tagline, that became the label for that punishment. Ignorance is not an acceptable excuse. You can't say, and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are both going out there, I have no idea. Well,
there's just no way that he has no idea. We've said, we talked about this on the last show.
We talked about it a lot, and every quarterback has said there's 0% chance that Tom Brady does not know, especially given he's admitted to his teammates a week ago Thursday he likes the ball a certain way, and considering in 2011 he said on a radio show he likes his balls underinflated. I mean, footballs, but so who's to say?
One thing I did want to bring up is I found out this little piece of information upon doing a ton of research after our last show. I had done a ton of research for the last show. Then I did a little bit more delving into it because I was bored today. And one thing I found out was that when the Patriots got busted for the whole spying thing, Bill Belichick brought a whole file cabinet into the NFL head office to Roger Goodell and said, this is rumored. Obviously, this is from an article with an unidentified source. He brought an entire file cabinet in and left it with Roger Goodell. After they had a chance to go through the file cabinet to see what exactly everything was, which is what they assumed was just all of the things that they had, all the teams they had taped, all the evidence that had been tapings and stuff like that. The rumor is that that's not all that was in there. That there was also evidence of other teams doing things that weren't on the up and up. And that this was basically Bill Belichick's way of saying, I'm not the only one that does something. And if you try to bring me down, the next thing you will see is me on Dateline or 60 Minutes or whatever, telling everybody about how corrupt the NFL is on certain things. And so that is why I don't believe that they're going to get anything other than like what you said, Kyle, which is a third-round draft pick, a nice little fine, and probably an asterisk if they win the Super Bowl.
And the asterisk isn't even necessarily whether the NFL considers it or not. As fans, I think a lot of people have that mindset no matter what. In my mind, the Patriots have played this out masterfully in that they decided the best way to defend themselves is not by using logic or reason or actual defense, but by attacking anyone and everyone. Roger Goodell just got told by his best owner friend, you better apologize if you're wrong. I don't think Robert Kraft would come out that strong unless he was super heated on this one, because...
Or super certain, Kyle, that they weren't going to find any evidence.
He's sticking out his pinky and telling Roger Goodell to kiss the ring. That's what's going on now. Like he's some sort of feudal lord. And Bill Belichick gives his press conference and essentially says it's atmospheric pressure. Now, this is despite the fact that the Patriots balls remained inflated all through the second half once they were reinflated at halftime. And the Colts balls were inflated from start to finish without having to be reinflated at halftime. Now there's reports saying, well, the balls weren't actually 2 pounds under, they were a pound under. Well, Bill Nye's analysis that the Patriots' claim of weather is impossible. Bill Nye's an idiot. He only holds a bachelor's degree, you guys. Everything that makes sense, some way, shape, or form, the Patriots are poking holes in it. And they're not holes necessarily made of logic, just whoever says anything against us is a hater and is false and whatever.
I just, if Goodell does nothing in this case, and this is just resolved with slaps on the wrist again, it just shows that there's no accountability. And you talked about it last week, Kyle, that this is a game and the NFL is something you love watching with your daughter because it's something that is important to you, that it's about the game, and it shows what it means to be part of a team. And that was what you were inferring, and you don't want this tarnished in any way. And to me, I feel the same way. And if nothing is done here, what we're going to end up having is just an entertainment. There's not going to be any real winners or losers. People aren't going to care what the rules are. We're going to have a WWE or a reality TV show.
XFL, at that point. Here it comes, round 2.
If this doesn't get fixed quickly, they are going to start losing viewership. There's just no way that people... Now, I understand that there's going to be the type of fan that is never going to quit.
I will never quit on the Bears. It's just not going to happen. But I would quit on the NFL. Will I still be a Bears fan? Absolutely. Will I still watch their games? Absolutely. Will I care about what happens around the rest of the league? No. Because I won't think that anything's real anymore. I will think that I'm watching Stone Cold Steve Austin fight The Undertaker and it's all fake hits and smashing each other with chairs.
And you got to hit that Undertaker really hard because he's a dead man. He doesn't feel pain. In reality, though, everything Ron is saying is accurate. It's very, very important to keep in mind children. It's a cop-out in a way to say, won't someone think of the children? And if you can imagine it in like a high, shrill women's voice, please do that. It'll be a lot better. So think of the children. Are they going to be encouraged by their parents to be part of a game that at the top level, its top team is known for cheating, is known for their quarterback swearing and then saying, well, if I don't play passionately, I can't play at all. Essentially saying, if I don't get to say the F word, I'm not going to be any good. That might not be what he said or how to take it, but there's enough kids out there who are making weird subliminal connections. I can just imagine Patriots fans listening to me going, oh, this friggin' guy, I hate him. But it's a legitimate concern. Baseball lost how many viewers, how much percent of business after steroids because fans stopped caring. You still like your team. You're still going to sell out at home. You will. If your team's good, you'll sell out. People are going to watch their team.
I stopped watching baseball after the steroid thing happened.
Yeah.
You want to know when I really stopped watching baseball, Kyle?
The strike.
Was when I found out that not the strike.
Well, that was it for me.
I stopped watching baseball when I found out that Sammy Sosa had been busted with steroids. At that point, I knew that there were all these players, Mark McGwire and all those guys had been just pumping steroids into their testicles for years, and Barry Bonds and all those, and that's why they all have those asterisks, and some of them will never make it into the Hall of Fame. But one thing that kept me going was I still have Sammy Sosa, and he didn't dope, and he is still slamming home runs for the Cubs, despite the fact that the Cubs are always awful and we never have any hope and everything. And after I found out that he had gotten involved with steroids, I stopped watching baseball. I'm still a Cubs fan. I will still support them till the end. As soon as they hit the postseason, I will watch the Cubs games. But I have a real hard time taking the sport seriously after that. And this is what's going to happen to the NFL. If they do not come down with the wrath of God on people who do this kind of thing, they will not be taken seriously. Goodell, in my mind, is already not taken seriously. I don't know how he can continue to be the commissioner of the NFL and be taken seriously by the fans. I understand that the owners don't want him gone. Why? Because he makes them a ton of money.
But that's the exact reason why the players want him gone.
It's just so aggravating, Kyle.
It's incredibly frustrating, and in some ways the NFL is making more money, but it's also cheapened. I just saw a thing, some website talking about some of the worst Sky Mall products of all time. I think a list of the worst 15. 3 of them were NFL related. And I looked at them and I'm like, who in their right mind wants a high heel with the logo of their NFL team and its purpose, this high heel, is to be a wine bottle holder? That is a licensed product. Why? Why is there the tree face that has a Green Bay Packer hat? Trees, no, first off, there's no faces. And why would a tree wear a hat on the middle of the damn trunk? That is not how hats work. So much wrong with that. Well, look, Roger Goodell, do a thing, man. That Rolling Stone article where they talked about how you were such a cheap tightwad and all that. We're not digging the Connecticut blue blood in office. That's who he is. His dad was in Congress. If you didn't already mistrust him, now you way do. Also, I've heard that he cannot get hard unless he sees a dog die.
Wow. What is wrong with you?
Gloves off. Slap. I will challenge Roger Goodell to an insult off any day of the week. I guarantee. I was in the Army. I'm part of a young generation that enjoys sass. And if I got there, I'm bringing my A game. You know how I know that? I'm going to get drunk like nobody's business. And apparently drunk Kyle has no problem taking his pants off and shouting at people. I wish that I was making that up. There's certain bars in Anchorage I have been asked not to come back to.
I was there for one of them.
Yeah, that was when everybody made me have their tequila, right?
That was an interesting evening. We'll just put it that way.
Oh, yeah, and Marshawn Lynch, he answered, I'm only here so I don't get fined. Stayed for exactly 4.5 minutes in his press conference. Apparently, now I'm reading, he's some sort of guerrilla rebel. He doesn't listen to the man. There's a difference between sticking it to Roger Goodell in a meaningful and impactful way and acting like a petulant child.
I think in this specific instance, if we just take this press conference and put aside the other ones, I think he handled this one in a more comedic way than he had in the past. Like in the past, you could tell he was just irritated with the reporters and that he just he wanted to beat them all to death. And this one, he actually, he was smiling, he was laughing, and he came up to the press conference doing exactly like you had asked before, Kyle, which was he sat down in the chair and the first thing he said was, I'm only here so I won't get fined. That is how I'm going to answer all of your questions. So go ahead and ask away. But in 4.5 minutes, I am leaving this chair. And so he was very upfront about it. And then they started asking questions. I just don't understand why reporters would do that. Why wouldn't reporters just sit there for 4.5 minutes while he sits there?
Or let's have a little creativity. Bring in your kids. Is Marshawn Lynch really going to be a dick to children? Or ask him questions that have nothing to do with football. So, Marshawn, you living in the city of Seattle, known for its coffee, do you prefer a blonde roast or a dark roast? Just blow his mind. What the hell, man? I'm from Oakland. Marshawn, do you fear that we are seeing the decay of literature due to the internet? I actually want to know what he thinks about that because I'm pretty sure he's going to use more conjunctions and words that aren't actually words in his sentence than words that are. It's just...
You mean like AXS?
I'm pretty sure that it's one of those things where you use that as a benchmark and the reporter would just be like, well, I think your sentence doesn't answer me, but the way you delivered it does.
Kyle, let's talk about the Super Bowl.
Do we have to?
Yes. And yeah, so let's just talk about the Super Bowl just a little bit. I know that it's, for a lot of people, it's just, unless you're a Seattle or a Patriots fan, we're all just a little bit kind of
I personally have not cared less about a Super Bowl in an incredibly long time. These are two teams I am not a fan of, and talks of dynasty, no matter what the outcome is. So if you're to ask me what I want, the answer is pretty much not this. Right now, the hope I have left goes to the Seahawks because they are currently the only not Patriots left standing. But it's not like I feel good about it. If they win, we're going to be assaulted with reports of their dominance for the rest of time and assurances that Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Andrew Luck due to Super Bowl wins, which of course implies he's better than Dan Marino, Manning, Rodgers. I think Brett Favre only ended up with 1 ring.
Yes, 1. He went to 3 and he went to 2. He only got 1. Yep.
Okay. And yeah, and that's fine to say that, and it's not the worst thing, but now that we've kind of opened ourselves to the public eye, we get blasted by people who have a very self-centric point of view that allows them to see us as infallibly wrong, and I hate arguing against people who has made up their mind in spite of the facts and also will not listen. I might be an opinionated butthole, but I'll at least give you the time of day. Now, if you sound like an idiot, I'm not going to listen to your point. If you have terrible errors or you use finally in the same sentence twice, I can't do it. But we had the Patriots guy on the last thing, and at the end of the show, I was cursing him because he was so eloquent, he was making me dumber. So...
That's true, you were. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was so good, he came right around and was bad again. He made the full circle. That is impressive.
Not many people are able to do that to Kyle's mind.
Yeah.
Just be aware that if you can make Kyle go full circle on somebody or on you, you actually have just gotten a big achievement. And you deserve a Nobel Peace Prize for it.
It does stop all that violence in Africa. No more blood diamonds. No more tears. Anyway, the Seattle D is good, but not great. And if that isn't the story of the league this year, then I don't know what is. Seattle has a chance, and that's about all I think I can say about that. If the Patriots win, I will be upset, but slightly constellated by the asterisk that will accompany the win. In a small, insignificant way, the Colts have played a hand in one form or another, damaging the Pats every year since Andrew Luck's been in. Year one, Gronk breaks his arm in the playoffs against the Colts, and so that kind of derails things. And year two, that team was hurt by Gronk not being out there and healthy. And Aqib Talib, I believe, suffered a minor injury in the game against the Colts. I can't remember that. I might be misremembering that. If I remember correctly, it was a minor injury against the Colts, and then he got plowed out by Wes Welker in the AFC game. This year, the Colts simply made the NFL aware of the Pats letting the air out of the football, and while all Pyrrhic victories as the Colts lost each of these games, you get some small satisfaction as the Colts play the ruiner. Patriots are a good team, but yeah.
You know, the Pats, they were thought to have been a fairly one-dimensional team centered around Gronkowski, but that hasn't really been the case as of late. The offense has success all over the place now, whether it's throwing downfield to LaFell. Obviously, he can throw downfield to Gronkowski easily, and only having the three receivers and the basic and having four tight ends out there.
And Julian Edelman's great.
Well, Julian Edelman's the reason why I think that offense is so successful. And the fact that they have LeGarrette Blount running the football. And good on Bill Belichick for one thing, and that is that he saved LeGarrette Blount for the postseason. Everybody thought that LeGarrette Blount was going to go to the Patriots after he walked out on the Steelers and, you know, just start right away and just start becoming a bruiser. But they saved his legs for the postseason, and it paid dividends. And it's not that they are not beatable, though. I mean, the Ravens showed us that they can be shut down, but the Patriots have definitely showed what they can do, especially second halves of games when other teams just, they can't make the adjustments.
And that was the Ravens' downfall. The Patriots came out, and the Ravens kind of sort of had their number. The Patriots made second half adjustments. The Ravens really did not. We know how that ended.
Now, when it comes to the Seahawks, we obviously already believe that they're one-dimensional. That they are a read option team. They are very successful and very good at performing the read option. Wilson does have a little success in the pocket, but it's very limited. It is just, there's almost nothing. Just as Lynch is not as successful without the read option. They do run that read option better than any team out there. And given that this is the Super Bowl, it's obviously time to take the handcuffs off and just let the offense work. But Pete Carroll's strategy is very good, which is allow the pro set to continue to hog time, allow the defense to keep you in it, and then once everybody's tired and Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson are still fresh, go out there and take that read option all the way home.
In the end of the game, but I don't care how good the Patriots D is. You're going to get confused. You're going to make mental mistakes, which translate to physical mistakes. It's a good way to coach.
This is a tough one. It's
very tough to predict the outcome of this one because it's also variable dependent.
Right, and to me, this is going to be a blowout. Which way it goes, I don't know. It's going to go one way or the other, but it's going to be a blowout. That's how I see it. Now, I know you kind of think it could either be a blowout or a defensive crawl where there's almost no points scored. To me, this is a game where somebody scores more than 30 points and the other team doesn't get past 14. Like, that's how I see this one ending up.
That's very possible, but when you start trying to do individual matchups and say, well, how's Rob Gronkowski going to do against Earl Thomas? And what's going to be the outcome there and how important that matchup is? And how is the Patriots D-line going to do against Marshawn Lynch and how important that matchup is going to be? And it's so difficult to predict even just one of those matchups, each of which would have a huge outcome on the game. So it becomes quite ridiculous to say this is how it's going to be and whatever else. I personally think 372 to negative pi.
And lastly, it's the reason I believe a lot of people are just kind of like, whatever, with this game is it's two villains that playing each other. And no one really wants to see that. Freddy versus Jason wasn't a popular movie. No one cares about two bad guys fighting. And that is what the Seahawks and the Patriots are. The Patriots are hated by everybody but the Patriots fans because they're always on top and they've cheated their way there on multiple occasions now. The Seahawks are hated by everybody because their defense has a lot of outspoken jackasses that have no class, and they run a confusing offense and also have a coach that cheated his way into the NFL.
And a lot of people are still furious about it. I will personally say I'm a little confused by the cheating on that, only because my recollection of the incident Pete Carroll had in college was his running back's family was taking benefits or something like that. And
it was not just the running back. It wasn't just Reggie Bush and stuff like that. It came out that he encouraged players to get paid for their name in order to pay for special treatment in order to continue to play football. That was the rumor. Nothing was ever proven on that. But he was still somebody
sounds like really good advice.
Well, yeah, but
just because the NCAA is stupid with their whole you can't receive any benefits. Look, if my niece or nephew ends up being amazing at something and they're like, "Hey, Uncle Kyle, would you like to have this nice chateau for the weekend?" Yeah. Oh, you just need some signed whatever? Don't worry, I got plenty of that. Then I go make the kid sign it, and I call him a queer, and then I go enjoy my nice chateau. In that order.
All right. Well, that's pretty much how we see the Super Bowl. I know that some of you are going to be like, well, this is a cop-out, and these guys don't really care about the Super Bowl. And to be honest, you're right. We don't. Why? Because we already know that not many of you care about it either. Like, unless you are a Seahawks or Patriots fan, you don't care about it. I actually have had 10 people, at least 10 people, and I know it's more than that, but I can name those 10 people right now that have told me they're not even going to watch it. I have people who are fans, hardcore football fans, who are saying they are going to go watch a movie instead. They just do not care.
If it wasn't for the fact that I feel that there's some semblance of a professional obligation to watch, I would be one of those people going to see a movie.
Right. Well, we have to watch it because of what we do here. If it wasn't for all of you, and if it wasn't for this show, I would not watch the Super Bowl. I would have watched the Pro Bowl and not watched the Super Bowl. That's how much about the Super Bowl bugs me.
And I understand two teams playing in the biggest game, and they've earned their right to be there, or at least I'd say the Seahawks have. But so much of this is boring and filled with doubt, and I'm tired of seeing the team that has the aggressive jackass on it getting in there. And right now, the aggressive jackass is being portrayed by the Legion of Boom and Bill Belichick.
Whatever happened to the Super Bowls like the Packers-Steelers Super Bowl or the Cardinals-Steelers Super Bowl? Those Super Bowls, to me, they had the hype, they delivered, and they had the players. Everybody was classy for the most part, except for Big Ben slapping waitresses on the ass. But for the most part, there wasn't guys riding around on bicycles after their championship game. Those guys, James Harrison and Troy Polamalu, those guys were classy after their championship games. And guess what? They were classy after the Super Bowl. So I have a hard time with the new culture of these NFL teams. I have a really hard time with it.
And I think a lot of it is it all feels a little more, can we say, manufactured? And that's all stuff that I'd lay right at the feet of Roger Goodell. The camera angles are so perfect, and the emotional reactions are so perfect, and we know what this player is going to say, and we know what this one's going to do, and make sure you get this shot. And I don't maybe need my experience to be that deep. Let my imagination do some of the work. Clearly, I've got plenty to spare, so let's go with that route. But it's not as almost every Super Bowl needs a story. There needs to be a good storyline. You know, you look back like the Packers and the Steelers when Aaron Rodgers gets his first Super Bowl. If it was the Steelers that won, the story would have been Big Ben overcoming all the negative press about him, raping women, which is not a very uplifting story. It's not going to be on Oprah's book club. Pretty sure. I don't know. She fell for that one dude with candy hands. So,
wow. You just entered a whole new realm of awful. Congratulations.
What? His hands were made out of candy. I mean, it's not like you're saying that everybody used to be a shirt and tie affair. We're not saying that, but there's no incentive to watch. And you don't even need to watch the commercials. They're all on the web right now anyway, because people don't understand the idea that if you're going to pay $3 million for a 30-second ad spot, maybe you should wait on that ad spot for that $3 million bit right there. Maybe that's the thing to do. No, it's show it in advance.
What I did find out about the commercial thing, Kyle, and this is just an interesting tidbit, and I know that most people don't care about this kind of stuff, but one thing I thought was very interesting was that if the NFL doesn't produce a certain amount of ratings, then those people who paid for those ad spots can actually get some of their money back, because a long time ago when the NFL started selling all these ad spots and they kept raising the prices and raising the prices and raising the prices, they signed in that deal that there has to be a certain ratings percentage of the people watching TV in order for them to be able to charge that much money. And if they don't meet that certain percentage, for every percentage point under, they have to take that percentage point off of the total amount paid by those companies for those ads, which means that the NFL could essentially lose money because the Super Bowl is awful.
Well, I think it'll still get plenty of ratings. I think there are still enough people who don't pay much attention to football. That would just be like, oh yeah, the Seahawks, they were the guys from last year, and Tom Brady, I know him. And there is this slight storyline, if you're a Seahawks fan. Credit where credit's due. Quarterback wins are a goofball stat, but Russell Wilson has a chance to beat, in consecutive years, the two best quarterbacks of the past 20 years. He can beat Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in the Super Bowl in back-to-back years. If he does that, that's pretty darn cool. But it's not about that. Right now, the stories are, did you cheat to get here? And why won't this guy answer questions? That's what the NFL is letting this year be about, which is really hurting the buzz. Usually there's something to be excited about, you know, like Peyton Manning's legacy, or will Seattle finally get one? Now they got one, and there were buttholes about it.
All right, well, let's move on, Kyle. Do you want to do the NFL honors and awards, or would you rather do a few emails that I got?
Well, I am a big fan of the emails. I say, how much time we got?
We're already pushing to the hour mark here.
Let's do emails, and then you can get honors later. We've already got them written down, so watch their award show. And
you know what, Kyle? Here's what I suggest we do. Let's go through the honors. We'll do our own awards. We'll save those for later.
There you go.
Let's go ahead and go through the honors now, because we want to pick what we think are in these before the show airs on Saturday.
True enough. So the 4th annual NFL Honors is going to be hosted on Saturday. The host will be former Saturday Night Live lead writer Seth Meyers, which is sad because he was the lead when like Chris Kattan was there. So, yeah.
What, you didn't like Chris Kattan or Seth Meyers?
Really?
What, I was a fan. That was the, kind of Will Ferrell, and all. I forget that you hate all those people. So
no, the mango thing, we get it. He's gay. Does it really need to be drawn out? Come on. Like, this is...
It was funny. It doesn't make it any less funny.
No, it is not funny.
Do you find the Rob Schneider name thing funny?
Rob Schneider's not funny. He's not funny because he needs to be in Judge Dredd, which he was. That was funny.
You are a sad, sad man. When it comes to films, you are, at least.
I am a terrible person to watch movies with. One of the worst.
You are.
I will admit it.
All right, let's start actually here with the AP MVP award. Last year being Peyton Manning for the Broncos. This year, who do you have on your list, Kyle?
My number one, the guy who I think was absolutely the best this year, would be Aaron Rodgers, and my number two would be Tony Romo. And I wish I could give it to Tony Romo because I think that the Cowboys and their fans should be incredibly proud of what happened this year. I think there's a little bit of sadness in that it probably will not happen next year, but still, Tony Romo gave it his all and played at an incredibly high level the whole season. Aaron Rodgers is just a better quarterback, though.
All right, I went with DeMarco Murray, actually. And I know we can go through all of the, his offensive line is awesome and all that kind of stuff. But to me, without DeMarco Murray, Tony Romo, Dez Bryant, the rest of that team doesn't get anywhere near where they got. So I'm going to go with DeMarco Murray as my number one. For my number two, I'm going with J.J. Watt. I love defense, especially defensive line, especially guys who can not only sack the quarterback, but play the run and the pass and intercept footballs and then go on to a goal line set and catch passes. That's amazing. You know me, I'm an old Chicago Bears guy. The fridge running touchdowns in. I love seeing that kind of stuff.
You just have a man crush.
It's true.
I don't blame you. He's dreamy.
All right, but who do we think they're going to pick here, Kyle?
I think that the trendy pick that the Associated Press is going to pick is going to be Aaron Rodgers. It's just too easy. In a year where nobody was such an amazing standout, you go to the pick that people question the least.
Okay, so AP Coach of the Year is also up for grabs. Last year we had Ron
they're
Rivera
all up for grabs. It's not like I won and I'm not letting it go and I get to keep it for 5 years.
Well, Ron Rivera would be the kind of guy to do that.
Well, except he sucked this year.
Right, he did do that as well. Who do you have as on your list here, Kyle?
Well, I'd say my number one is Jason Garrett, and my number two is a kind of bizarre combination of Doug Marrone and Jim Schwartz.
You know that neither one of them are head coaches or Jim Schwartz isn't coaching anybody right now.
Well, yes, but arguably his defense is what made that team as good as it was, and the decision to bench EJ Manuel was a very good one in terms of the result. I just think that when you look at how many guys went down on, well, actually both of my Coach of the Year's teams and how they still were able to grab success and force it, that tells me you have a coach who is going to motivate and assign correctly and train correctly, and being able to overcome the loss of a player, that's good coaching. I
went with the popular pick at number one of Bruce Arians. I just think that somebody who came into a team that, is historically horrible and has gradually improved them every single year, to include taking them to the playoffs with basically running the last 5-6 weeks with backup quarterbacks.
He was watching the last drops of his successful player canteen fall out onto a desert of the current Arizona Cardinals roster.
Wow, that is deep.
Yeah, man. That's how we do.
So my number two is Pete Carroll. I have some reservations about him even being in the NFL and stuff. We'll get into all of that later on in the offseason. But the reason I have Pete Carroll here is after watching the way that the season unfolded and how he was able to keep his team in games and constantly change up the way the offense plays and just confuse defenses, make other teams either have to change their game plan or lose. I think he is very, very smart in how he runs that offense and keeps that team going.
And the players love him.
Yes, very much so.
And by all accounts, he's a nice guy, laid-back surfer guy. Apparently fits the city of Seattle like a slipper. Good for them.
A glass slipper?
Don't be ridiculous. That would be uncomfortable. And it's going to have to be some pretty good tempered glass to able to, for walking. Cinderella's a bunch of horse poo because they didn't have glass that was that good back then. In addition to all that unique a foot size, very, very confusing.
So this one, we probably would have had Coach Belichick, but after everything that's happened, and now he is Coach Belichick, and he coached the Deflatriots.
Ooh. Nice.
That would really diminish the impact of the award. So I guess that we're going to
it would minimize all of the awards by essentially saying, hey, the people who voted for this relevant award also voted Bill Belichick Coach of the Year. I actually think you have the most logical pick in Bruce Arians.
Yeah, I think that's probably who, if I had to hand it out, I think that's who they're going to pick. But let's go to the Offensive Player of the Year award. Last year was also Peyton Manning for the Broncos. And this year, who do you got, Kyle?
My number one pick would be DeMarco Murray. We all know what he did. I like your number one pick that I'm looking at here, too. But I think for my number two, I'd put in Andrew Luck. He didn't finish as well as he started. but he had a lot of injuries. And when you start to look at that team and notice he is not getting the help he needs from Reggie Wayne or Hakeem Nicks, and Dante Moncrief's a rookie, and T.Y. Hilton's double covered, what he was able to do is still pretty darn impressive. DeMarco Murray, just a beast, though. Did great.
Number one, I have Le'Veon Bell. I think when you look at his improvement from last year he was 15th among the running backs. This year, he's number 2. Has scored 100 more points this year than he did last year, and became the number 2 overall rusher by just barely. And my number 2 is Eddie Lacy. I just really like watching him play. There's not many guys his size that can do a reverse spin that he can, and it is very tough to be a running back like him on a team that is obviously led by a very high octane passing quarterback.
He gets out there and he gets it done, and he looks like he's overweight while he does it, which is my favorite part. A fat dude running? Yes, please. A fat dude running well? Slam dunk.
So who do you think they're going to pick in this one, Kyle?
I actually think that you've got it again with Le'Veon Bell. I think that he did a heck of a lot for his team. I think that him being out in that playoff game showed how valuable he was. That can't be ignored. He had a great attitude, matched a Walter Payton record in the middle of the year, getting, 300 yards from scrimmage in 2 consecutive games or 3 consecutive games?
Yes.
I mean, that's your answer. Not defining 2 or 3 games, but by saying yes. Okay. And
sorry.
It's not your fault.
I was just trying to let you go through your process, and I apparently derailed you. I apologize.
I'm gonna blame corn and whatever. Anyway,
don't blame corn.
When I first went to Iowa, we're there and
you're just, oh my gosh, you're gonna tell the same story again. This is gonna be the 4th time you've told it this season.
It probably is. All I know is that they love corn. And every mention of corn that I made with irony, it was lost upon the public who truly believed in its miracle healing power. It's like some nature spirit in Iowa. It was crazy. Nebraska, you got nothing on Iowa. Your corn love is weak.
All right, so let's go to the defensive player of the year. Last year we had Luke Kuechly from the Panthers. Who do you got this year, Kyle?
I found myself surprised in saying that my number 1 is J.J. Watt, and I'm only surprised because I was a little down on him a few weeks ago saying, how are you going to be that impressed with all these sacks coming in the AFC South? But he was pretty redonkulous no matter how you look at it, and he really did some cool things, and we love him and want him to marry us, so that's all we got. And my number 2 is a homer pick. Have to take Vontae Davis. I think he had the best overall season for a corner this year. Did not give up a touchdown pass all season until the Pro Bowl, where he gave it up to teammates T.Y. Hilton and Andrew Luck, and that also kind of really doesn't count. That, and he lit the hell out of Gio Bernard.
Yes.
And how the rest of the league and all the linebackers and safeties are going to let a corner put out one of the top 5 hits on the year. You guys need to be mad about that.
I had Luke Kuechly again. There's just no middle linebacker that does what he does on the football field. I've never seen someone play. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. He can play the pass and the run to perfection. It's just wildly impressive.
He's cool, man. He is a cool dude to watch play. He makes it look as though he's not even trying.
Yeah, it just comes so natural. Number 2, I had Everson Griffin. The reason I have him in here is I don't think he just got the attention he deserved this year. I mean, I
agree with that.
Compiling sacks like crazy. What the problem was is that he played on a crappy team for the most part offensively. So even though that defense was very good, the
defense was very good because he was a wrecking ball, and he went out and he played great just about every game and was incredibly impressive and slammed up great numbers. But like you said, he had the 3rd most sacks in the league behind only J.J. Watt and Mario Williams, and somehow did not make the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So who's your pick here?
It's going to be J.J. Watt, and there's not going to be any
Yeah, it's
ways
going to
about
have to
it.
be.
Only player 2 seasons, 20+ sacks. That's all. They love him. He is a hero, nice guy, clean cut, no issues, best at his position in the league.
All right, so Pepsi's NFL Rookie Fan Vote Award here. Last year was Keenan Allen for the Chargers. Who do you pick here, Kyle?
It's a fan vote award, so like, I guess if I had to say who is the rookie I think is coolest, it would be Odell Beckham, because he's Odell Beckham and he just goes out there and his hands are like crazy little suction cups.
Yep, and I agree with you, nor do I care about this award because it's not a real award because it's voted by the fans, and I think they're going to select Odell Beckham Jr. I think Kyle and I can both say that with confidence. It's going to be Odell Beckham. If it's not, then there's something wrong with somebody somewhere.
And I think that we can pretty much say a similar thing for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Last year, Eddie Lacy took it home. Odell Beckham's my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I'd say a number 2 might be Mike Evans, because he had a year pretty much just as good production-wise, just maybe not as much flash.
Yeah, I picked Zach Martin for the Cowboys. I just think the first time a rookie offensive lineman getting into the Pro Bowl is a big deal. Obviously, we both believe Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be the pick here. I just don't think Zach Martin kind of got the attention he deserved in this one.
I will say there are plenty of times when the best pick is a lineman and they don't get the love they deserve. And Zach Martin came in and was just crazy good for the Cowboys, and he'll be crazy good for a long time.
All right, so who do you got for your defensive rookie of the year?
Well, last year it was Sheldon Richardson of the Jets. My pick didn't put up the stats, but did great all the same. Khalil Mack, he will be dynamic for years to come.
I picked Kyle Fuller, and the reason I did that was he didn't start until the 3rd game of the season. He took over for a legend of Charles Tillman. He played very, very well despite being hurt for between 6 and 8 games. We don't really know how much of those he played hurt, but I know for at least 6. And he made the Pro Bowl as a rookie.
He played so good that the Chicago fans were like, Tillman, you might want to consider retiring, because have you seen this guy? He's good.
Yep. And I think here, obviously, they're going to take Khalil Mack. He's just a logical pick. I would be ecstatic if they took Kyle Fuller, but let's be honest.
Well, I think they pick what's-his-face, the dude from the Rams, the defensive tackle, Aaron Donaldson.
That is correct.
They are in love with this dude. Apparently, he is rocking it. The Rams line and the Rams defense overall, very good this year. He's apparently a big part. Defensive tackle, not a flash position, not stats, whatever.
All right, so comeback player of the year. Last year was Phillip Rivers. This year, I picked Justin Forsett, Kyle.
I'm sure you did. You ain't got nothing on me because I got Mark Sanchez.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what else is he going to win? You got to give him a break. No, I'm a little teapot for real. Gronkowski.
Okay, so the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award, and a lot of people don't really
who
understand.
Who are they going to pick for comeback player of the year, though, Ron?
Who are they going to pick?
Yeah.
I have him picking Aaron Rodgers.
Comeback player? Where is he coming back from?
Oh, you're talking about comeback player? I'm talking about the NFL Man of the Year award.
All right,
Kyle.
well, then you get to pick him for 2 things. Moving on. All right. It didn't make sense because you were paying attention. Man of the Year award, Aaron Rodgers. I think that makes sense, but would you care to explain to all the people with the things and the knowledge and the stuff?
Sure. He has numerous charities set up for numerous things. If you don't know what they are, Google Aaron Rodgers charities. He does, and this is the one that gets me the most, is that he goes to a children's hospital there in Wisconsin every weekend during the season with some teammates. He throws footballs with those kids, and he plays a lot of games, to include Minecraft and video games and stuff with some of the kids there. Actually, he and Clay Matthews had a high five contest with a bunch of kids that had been diagnosed with childhood leukemia.
Is that a happy story or a sad story? I'm not sure.
I don't know. When they said high five contest, I don't even know how you do that.
I mean, like, you're going to have Clay Matthews high five one of these kids like a little too hard, and they've got all those little spindly cancer arms, and it just like gets broken backwards, and Clay Matthews is like, no, I'm sorry, and he's just like molding the kid back into shape, like, I can fix it, and the kid's bones are just turning to dust, and all the cancer is escaping and eating their flesh, and then Aaron Rodgers is like, we got to get out of here, and he strikes a pose, and then that British dude comes in and distracts everybody so they can leave. And that is why he got that State Farm commercial. They owed him a solid.
Wow. You went a long ways to make fun of a British guy that looks like Aaron Rodgers.
I'm not making fun of him, and that's cool. That dude is a genius. He got paid for it. Hey, I look like somebody who achieved something in life. I deserve money. And this is like the first time that paid off to this kind of extent.
I just think that if in any instance that something like that happened, Aaron Rodgers would just be like, hold on, let me use my alien powers to fix you.
Is Aaron Rodgers E.T.?
Oh yeah, definitely. In some way, shape, or form, he is.
Interesting. Well, he gets to take it to Olivia Munn, who is not at all bashful about the fact that there is as much between the sheets action. I guess that's clean enough to say.
So who are they going to pick here?
Well, my pick, thank you for just glossing over that.
Well, that's because you picked somebody you hate.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. I picked Russell Wilson, and in my write-up, I just have written, Russell Wilson, propaganda. So he also does the Aaron Rodgers thing. I can't call it the Aaron Rodgers thing because then people will be like, oh, you're diminishing the impact. He also goes to the children's hospital every week, sees the kids, and, tells them whatever he does. And apparently I think they got to give it to him because somebody at some point this year said he wasn't black enough, and you got to make that up somehow.
All right. Let's go to the play of the year, which will be our last award before we close up today. Last year was Calvin Johnson for whatever it is that he did.
It's something that they gave him way too much credit, and then a thing happened. We all go home and eat pie and cake and ice cream.
So I picked the Vontae Davis tackle on Giovanni Bernard because that is brutal. I love defense, and I love the fact that a corner hit a running back so hard that he almost lost his shoes.
He did lay that dude out. Play of the year, I don't think it can be anything other, at least in terms of the actual vote. I do agree with you. The best defensive play of the year would probably be that crazy tackle. Offensively, Odell Beckham's impossible catch with like 2 or 3 fingers. That's going to be the one they select because you already have Chris Collinsworth calling it the best play of all time. And then sitting in a corner and sucking on an electrical socket for a half hour. So,
yeah, that's going to be the one they pick for sure. That's there's no doubt about that. So, all right. Well, that is actually going to wrap us up here. And
you said there were emails.
Well, we will do the emails after the Super Bowl because I want to kind of lump them all together.
I say you should do them now because we're going to get a whole lot of you guys are idiot Super Bowl emails no matter what. Because Patriots fans are going to want to rub it in my face, and then Seahawks fans are going to want to rub it in my face, and then I'm just going to have to sit there and expose my genitals at both of them.
The emails we actually got today are just a couple, and they actually have nothing to do with football whatsoever. They're actually questions to you, and I want you to be able to read them before you respond in these instances. So we will get to all of your emails after the Super Bowl. I promise you that when we do our Super Bowl review, we will do all of the emails that you send us, all the comments. We will read them all, despite how bad they are. I might have to clean them up a little bit. Just be aware that if you send stuff to us and it is very vulgar in any way, shape, or form, we will have to clean that up in some way. We will also get to our awards, and when we do that, we have some very interesting things here, and we do appreciate all the support you give us. Make sure that while you're watching, you tweet us, you comment on Facebook, you comment on the show, you tell us how horrible Kyle is and how great I am, because that's obviously the case. And that's going to wrap us up. So thanks to Nick Wright, sound-right.com, WRIGHT. Thank you to Cindy. We want to, of course, thank our military, all of the public service people out there. Thank you so much for what you do. We want to make sure that we get you everything that we can in terms of thanks and stuff like that. If
we can give you all the meaningless trivialities that you can handle.
If there's something you guys need, let us know. We will figure out a way to get it to you. We will. That's our goal. I don't know if that's really our goal, but that's my goal.
Well, you just put it out there, so good job, jackass. Have fun doing that. I'm not helping.
It's not like you help with very much anyway.
I bring the heat.
Thank you to all the listeners, all the sponsors. We appreciate all of you. You have anything to add? We do have time for a little bit of Kyle story time if you want to give us one, Kyle.
Well, set me off in the right direction.
We haven't had a Kyle traffic story in a while.
Well, thankfully, most of the traffic has been pretty good. I've been able to just rationalize the fact that I'm going to be late to work and get up and go as I want. But occasionally now I've decided that the weather's colder, but the roads are better. So I've just started to cut people off and see if I can get them to honk at me and flip me off. It's especially funny when I do it to my coworkers because they know it's me. And as far as traffic, there's nothing interesting. I will say there was a fun thing that happened for us earlier in the week where I was talking to Ron and my daughter comes in and I say, "Hey, it's Uncle Ron." And she goes, "Can I talk to Uncle Ron?" "Sure, sweetie, you can talk to Uncle Ron." Gets the phone and goes, "Uncle Ron, I'm going to destroy you." And then hands the phone back to me like, "I'm done with him. Later, bitch." And like walks out. Yeah.
That is right. I got told by a 4-year-old that I was going to be destroyed.
She was confident about it too. She was really...
Oh yeah, she definitely was. I asked her if she had any magical ways of doing that, and she said, "Nope, I'm just going to do it." And I was like, "Oh."
To be fair, Ron was excellent in his response. Like, "You got to bring it." That's the extent of his counter response. Like, you don't just get it. You got to earn destroying another man. And that will...
you have nothing to worry about with her as a teenager. You know that, right?
I'm pretty sure that if there's going to be a couple of notes home about please tell your kid to stop giving the boys Indian burns when they mouth off. Which one will be like, well, that is her being self-controlled. They still have all their fingers, right? We're good.
All right, well, that's going to wrap us up. Thanks, Kyle. Everybody have a good night.
I hope you have a good night. I hope you have a good time taking care of babies.
Help support the show by going to the Amazon.com search bar on the top of the FBI podcast webpage when doing all of your online shopping. From movies to groceries, Amazon has everything. Go to the website and use our show's search box to help send 10% of your purchase to the show. No extra cost to you, just support. The search box will take you right to the Amazon webpage. That's ronkylepodcast.libsyn.com and look for the search bar at the top of the page. RONKEIL podcast.libsyn.com. GetWineOnline.com. Get the best bottles online for any occasion. Get 20% off when you click the banner at the top of the FBIA podcast website. Everything from big case orders to single bottles of Merlot or Chardonnay. That's ronkylepodcast.libsyn.com. RONKEIL podcast.libsyn.com.